Dude, come on. Okay, this is it. How much? How much are the hoodies? No, it's on this rip off. 26. Stop tearing on my jacket. Let's go with purple. Purple. $26.93 each for 25 items. Let's go with Hanes. All right. Stop, you're closing the door. You're bugging out, bro. Open it. Use your paw. You're gonna get stuck between the door and the frame. Here. There you go. There you go. Be careful. Be careful. All right. Text. All right. Use Greek letters. Should I use Greek? Alpha. Let's no. We want people to read it. What's the price on that? Okay. We want a graph. We want to elongate. All right. Okay. Man, I like it right there where they can see it. Now, let's. Should I use a t-shirt actually? Oh, all right. We're gonna put on there. I want something from my files. My files. Why does it do that? Oh man. Excuse me. If I put America against the flag, and that's stupid. All right, let's go with All right, you got your favorite sock, buddy. That is not what I'm looking for. Why is it gotta be so goofy? stupid? No. Let's go back. That's stupid. All right. Upload. Files. And we're going to put, I knew it, banging. And put the family of wolves or I know they can't do this. Fact. Holy shit. Fucking beautiful. Okay. All right. Save. Sign name, emojis. Save. Okay. This is gonna be badass. Next. Ship to single address. Get price, motherfucker. We want extra large. I'm losing weight, motherfucker. 2XL be banging. No, extra large fits me perfectly. One, motherfucker. Quantity, uno mas. All right, your product has an order minimum of 6. Well, how much is the first? A 3XL is $4 plus. So if I say I want different colors. Okay. Excuse me, guys. This is gonna be badass. Let's see what the price is. Excuse me. If the price is ridiculous, I'll do it myself. I'll have them ordered. We're looking at $270 for 6. Man, you all on fucking crack. I can do each one of them bitches about $15 a piece. Let me finish, please. Hope you don't mind. I mean, when I get into these art like modes, like if I'm building a model, if I'm drawing, if I'm writing poetry, I become like the me that you know is obsolete. I become so dead ass serious. I am still stuck on the writing. I'm amazed that y'all didn't want to partake and participate. I'm like, I'm the guy you can talk to. I'm that bro, that man. Thank you, Rondo. I love you, brother. I really appreciate it. Love all y'all too, but y'all got to step up. I'm still hungry, y'all. Y'all got to step up. I'm eating. This is true tuna. It's if you want to see all natural, this is 25 grain bread. It's not regular bread, y'all. It's like you really got to work to it, need it. And then I'm using a vegan mayonnaise that's heart healthy, and I didn't have turmeric to put in it, so I wish I did. I just stopped at the store too, and I was like, you know what? I just didn't feel like being out there. I feel like they're attacking us with certain chemicals, especially certain genes, depending on the year you were born, that they can mediate an attack. Honestly, I really do. But that's not here or there. I'm not worried about it. I worry about it for you guys, but not for me. Wait, my floor is clean. I'm not wasting nothing right now. I'm hungry. Not my floor, my going my damn pants leak actually. I'm freaking hungry. And I'm not talking like starving, like I'm like weird hungry. I'm just eating just to fulfill that hunger I have. And it's not a food hungry. It's I don't want no lettuce, I don't want no nothing. It's just putting something in my stomach to compensate for why I'm hungry. I don't know. It's very small. More or less flax, oats, It's like all kind of stuff. It's pumpkin seeds, a little few sunflower, which is not gonna hurt me. Chopped up dates. It's got so much in there. Quinoa. This is an acquired taste because it's not like sugared white bread and wheat. That garbage. This is good for your jaw muscles. Trust me. So I'm gonna read these. I really want to get through these. So the other one's gonna be finished in another reading. And we're gonna come on later, and I'm gonna do an open mic where we're gonna talk about a subject, and we're gonna address where my heart's at right now. And it's not gonna go nowhere because once my heart's set in something, it's I just find it very important. That one fell. The floor is clean, but this one ain't. Because cat hairs. I don't know if there's cat hair on there. Wake up. Hey, what you doing, Bubba? You only do that when you gotta poo. Go poo. It's clean. Your litter box is clean. Go. Muscle. Scrape. Dig a hole. China. Whatever. You don't want this. You don't even like it. And he had to poo. He was shook off. Let's. See my package. Just wait till people come in. Come in and stay, if not, go. Don't worry, I'm not discouraged. I can never be discouraged. Never. I don't have nothing to lose. Nothing at all. Y'all, on the other hand? Oh, man. This is a freaking workout. Have any of you ever had stone ground bread? I mean, real stone ground? I'm also doing this so that way people come and be like, he's eating, and get rid of the fucking nobodies. Well, aside, salute, what's going on, family? I'm surprised Rondo's not in here, but he's with his daughter right now, so. Hey, Westside, when you have the time, go back and check the live I did, the StreamYard video. It's uploaded, I believe. And just listen and just hear it out. Rondo came in. I'm going to get deeper into it, though. And I shared with him the end. I'll share with you, too. But you got to listen to it first. And that's not going to call you till you the end. When you hear it, you'll get in touch with me. You'll be like, dude. Then I'll tell you the end. It's an end, but not. It's. I'm doing this, man. I've already been taking because I was in my truck, I got like 5 envelopes with all kind of notes. I had to park for that. Something came to my head, and I was writing down this. I got to research this. I got to research this. And you know me, I'm big on punctuation and semicolons and all that garbage and I know it's gonna be a good read, but it's a screenwrite, so somebody sees it, you know they always want to change stuff to fit a different narrative. But it's not gonna happen. Alright. Kick off my shoes. I usually never walk around in my house. My little condo with my shoes on. I usually wear my Chinese slippers, Tai Chi shoes. Okay. Get this reading in. I'm just like real, it might look like I'm very drab. I am just like right now so serious. Like nerdy like way. I hate to say like the old way with me was nerdy too, but just it could be violent, very violent. Very violent. Not to hurt people for no reason, that's stupid. Different generation, people. As I told y'all in the beginning, very violent. I would go out and look for people causing problems. I used to walk on Main Street, everywhere. I used to walk on just in some of the worst places to look for people causing problems, causing mayhem. No, and this is well known. To exact something, I blame the world for what my mother did to me. I didn't blame my father. I blame my family, sort of. Not the blame like y'all would think. Like we see today, that's just ridiculous. That's retarded. Not with people who are sexually abused and stuff like that. I blamed the world because it became, instead of it being hide the first son, it was destroy the first son so no one else can get to him. And that's really what was going on during the early and latter parts of the 20th century. It was, y'all, trust me. There were deals, payments, brokering on things, pastors pushing it. That's your firstborn. A lot of our people became orphans that didn't need to become orphans, and some of them are actually getting back at things. Brado, what's going on, beloved? Hey, don't say nothing, but tell Westside tell them how you feel about the end, about the story. And I told him to go and look at the live, so that way, you know what I'm saying? Just give him, hey, BJR, you in the house? What's going on, family? Just let him know, like, you think it's good? The ending, beginning, like, just let him know, like, Westside, yo, and then I know Westside, you're gonna check it out. I was attempting to get people to come in there. Ronald, he's gonna step up to the plate, and everybody was just. And I was surprised, man. I was really surprised. Yo, Westside's gonna have later on. He's gonna have tomorrow. For those who have TikTok, please come on over. Support our brother Westside. I'm gonna be in the house. He's gonna do a little video. I'm kind of like tired of doing videos with people who. I just saw the guy post on Instagram or Facebook talking. He's not even my Facebook friend, but I saw this guy in the comments of somebody else's talking about. It was about the COVID, whatever, the squirt, right? And he said, "Man, as long as it don't stop me from going to the Philippines, because see, in the military, we know the Philippines was a place for LBFMs, little brown effing machines." And I just didn't parlay with that because I met some great people, Muslims, when I was over in the Philippines, and some Catholics who I stayed with them on both sides every time I went over there. And though I met a girlfriend there, I wasn't married or anything like that. No Christian marriage here at the time. It was World Cruise. I was ready to stay with her, the mulatto sister in Germany, because you want to talk about some real love, like bend over backwards, like not first time, like second and third time I visit, like, where you at? You know, like, and there's handsome men and all kind of stuff all over the place. And I'm like, what did I have? You know, I mean, I walked around different stature. It was what I talked about and how I talked, because I didn't really talk a lot. And I was very respectful to the elders, like beyond what you can fathom. Like, my respect for them was, I always wanted to sit around them in the Chaboulet or whatever and listen to the stories. I would ask, if you were with me, you were like, don't ask that. You know what I mean? Not paying attention that you're nudging the wrong individual, because I might pop you one, but mollywop you one, but they loved it. And all of them are gone. And surprisingly, when I would do my best to get other brothers to come with me, I would always get like 1 or 2, maybe 3 out of thousands. So if that doesn't speak volumes to you, and that disturbs me, because everybody knew me for, like, always talking about my family's history, the history I, Tartaria, people thought I was always crazy on the ship or out in town, Turkey or Iraq, especially in Dubai. They was like, this guy's crazy. But that would be like, see that? That's ancient. And they're like, dude, look at I was like, yeah, look at the buildings. Those are not mosques. Those have been occupied. Nobody listened. Now people listen, because sometimes you gotta go to a pale skin brother, or they remember me talking about things, like I said, I'm not discouraged, it's not disheartening, it's just, I fumble through the light in my head, and then I see the darkness, and I'm like, I'm so enraged at the darkness. It's like, I just want to, like, go in my head and tear the darkness apart, asunder. Like, I mean, really, I really want to go in there and just, like, and when I meditate, I fight through, I remember I told you about the colors. I fight through the dark to see me. And then I always remember, I envision my hands reaching out to grab me when I finally get to the point where I see me. And it takes a while to get there. And then I see the dark shadows, and I start swinging at them in behind my eyelids, y'all. And I see me go back into the red like the sun, but I'm still there, looking at me. And I'm fighting the dark, like, help, you're supposed to help yourself. And I haven't gotten to where I'm saying too much. You gotta get there first. Time is short, people. It doesn't mean you stop doing what you're doing. So much. So much. Enemies logistically ahead of everybody. And people don't want to listen. They'd rather watch something like Primetime Hitter. These are things people have asked me about, and I'm like, I'm not looking at that goofy. A young man playing rap, living a fake life, sexing up all different kind of women. There's a whole bunch of them doing that. And why are they getting views? Because the music industry, Hollywood narrative, the commercials, the perversions taught by perverse teachers, whoever they may be, the broken families, the allowance that pays for it, mentally and spiritually. They don't want to hear things that can lift them up. They believe the worldly way can lift them. And I just told 2 individuals on Facebook, supposed to be aboriginals, talking about religion or whatever. I was like, y'all talking about a comet. and a couple other words that they have not studied the etymology or the true understanding of where its origin comes from to be able to say, we're not going to use those terms. It's not complicated. I don't get why people want to hold on to things and they don't really understand what they're holding on to is keeping them locked in a place that is and anybody that talks about stuff like this and they're fast talking, stay away from them. Like me, I can throw all this out real quick, like in a way that could be very, the nigga's too smart, and I don't want to do that. I want you to see that I'm thinking, that I'm attempting to, not meaning that none of you can keep up if I was to do that. It's not what it means at all. It means it benefits me to look at a whole plethora of things while I'm thinking and express it in a way, even though it's condemning to some things, because some things need condemning. They're no good, they're garbage. There's no other way to put it. And some people, their rhetoric, like I said, these platforms allow people to believe that they know everything. And they're going to talk, and not everybody's meant to be a teacher. Not today on the internet, people get a little bit of history, they believe the historians. It's not how it works. Reading a few books, going to the library, looking at a neighborhood in the city you live at does not, sitting with a couple of old folks talking, that helps, but does not make you a historian. It's not to detract, and not saying that you are not, but it's not meant for everybody. Not everybody's a historian. Now, I know you would have the people who are a little lopsided. I'm the historian of my family on your genealogy, really? And how long you been doing that now? You had everything right in place. It was right there in front of you with everything that's been done. Okay. All right. So tell me who your 12th great grandma and grandmas and grandpas were. What do you mean? Well, who was your the 12 great grandmas, sisters and brothers? Well, then they would be your great grandparents as well. I expressed this to somebody and they said, you're crazy, Red. I said, we bring the sun into the world. The sun, meaning the light. Our daughters, our children. And we cultivate and nurture them in the proper ways that they walk upright and righteous, per se the word, fundamentally in order. And they become our younger brothers and sisters. They are not forever our children, as we are not forever their mother and father. The earth provides all that, and they become and they walk with us and they become. I and I, as above, as below. Anyway, I mentioned it. They'll be my babies forever. And there'll be another destroyed generation. Because that's like a class that's stating you're over. And we're not here, we're here to nurture. And all be and walk together on the same travels. Am I making sense? We're a visage. We're vessels. The earth wants us. Our mother wants us. She needs us in the proper place. I'm not saying a place like by design that we believe you're in your place. No. Everything that serves a purpose is being destroyed. Woman makes the man strong, and the man protects the woman. It's a circle of reality, and it's not about the paps that become our children. They're supposed to walk along with us, and everybody knows their position, and the old protects the young. And so the young has to protect the old for them to ascend. And everybody walks their path on the same path. But everybody has their dynamics of life. And it's a balance. And the way, I'm not going to say it on here because then I'll be telling you more of the story. But the way is these words. It's right. It's beyond good. It's the order. And we were created to continue that. And it's not for the betterment. It's just because it was good. It was good. There was nothing wrong with it. But to something, or someone, or some things, it was. And they interfered because they're outside the loop. And we are dealing with that. Let me get into reading. Because I'm tired of people going, you're deep, and all. I don't want to hear that. No more of that. Either you're getting where I'm coming from, or you're not. We're going to read Exposing an Exposition, 1851-1915, revision of 2021 by Howdy Mikowski. And then we'll get into the Heaven Bearers, the Great Reset of 1834 and the Mud Flood by Janine Helen. I really want to read the Mud Flood to you, two of the books I have, and Tartaria, because they empirically go together, and they really lay a lot of things down. But I believe reading these and then going to those will really give you a better insight, a formidable insight. I'm making a sweatshirt and a t-shirt. And when I make it, I'll let y'all see it, and I'm gonna make a bunch of them. So I could, if I was to pay $43 for each one, I would sell them for 60, easily 65. Is it for money? Well, I have my gimmicks. I have my 5 ways I can get rich like that. I like to do it with people. I'm an inventor. I have all kind of ideas. And sometimes you just got to do things on your own, because some people don't know what unity is. They don't see the importance of unity. You know what I mean? Turn this out so we can get this reading. And I've been running my gapper for like 30 freaking minutes. Let me shut it up and read. So, actually, I've got the remote thing on all the notes. There's so many notes, bubbles, squares, and so many notes. I'm gonna have to sit down and literally put those all together, and I mean, side this back a little bit, and yeah, and then the format, lay it all out. I'm gonna write the end first. That way, if I need to change anything, whatever I'm writing in the beginning will be the dynamics of how the end really occurs, even though I know it already. You know, sometimes you build the engine to build the car around it. Sometimes you build a car and say this is the engine we need in it. Time out Tuesdays, whatever. Okay, so again, Heaven Bearers and the Great Reset of 1834 and the Mud Flood, Janine Helen, and that's her, Janine Helen. So we already know which way she's going to approach the story. So let's not in fear and be triggered by that, okay? Please don't. So, we ended off yesterday. I work for old Brooks in town. Just asked for me there. And that was, how do I find you again, the young man? So, Jane, can you please run me a bath? She calls as she enters the mansion, but sees that she is busy preparing a roast for this evening. That is a big roast. Are we expecting company? She asks her jokingly, and takes a whiff of the lovely smell that fills the kitchen. It only says fill, I had to add the S. Fills the kitchen. Jane looks over at her surprise. Yes, Miss Harrington, your mother-in-law, father-in-law, and brother-in-law are coming for dinner. They should be here in about 2 hours. Bonnie shakes her head in confusion. Really? Malcolm didn't mention anything to me earlier. She runs her own bath, puts on a nice light blue dress, fixes her hair so that her neck is exposed, just how Malcolm likes it. She finishes up by putting on her shoes and walks downstairs towards the study and knocks loudly on the door. Come in! His voice is deep, and he looks like he is deep in thought. You didn't mention your family is coming for dinner. In fact, I didn't even know you had a family. Why haven't you mentioned them before? He can hear she is upset and doesn't understand why. They weren't even at our union. She snaps at him and her voice quivers. They don't live in this area, he replies coldly and puts down the documents he is holding in his hand. He doesn't know what else to say to her and starts to play with a metal object on his desk. I like your dress. It looks nice on you, he replies and gives her a grin. His mind is elsewhere and he is trying to change the subject. This makes her mad, but she knows there is no point in arguing with him. He will just close up and she wants him to be in a good mood for when her in-laws arrive. She gives him a fake smile and leaves the room. She walks outside. Let's put this shit out. Sorry, people. This is supposed to be medicinal. I don't think it's really working. She walks outside and takes a walk in the garden. She picks some flowers and breathes in the clean and fresh air. Everything is perfect here. Malcolm insists on it, and she does appreciate the effort put in to maintain the estate. She walks a bit further towards the stream and dips her toes into the water and thinks about Henry and all that he told her earlier in the day. She can't wait to see him again and ask him some more questions. First thing tomorrow, when Malcolm is back at the office, I will tell Jane I am going shopping and I will find him at Old Brooks. No one will know any different. She mutters as she plays with a leaf that she picked up from a nearby tree. She's excited. She enjoyed their conversation today, and she looks back at the mansion and can see him standing at the window in his study watching her. She picks up her hand and gives him a wave and laughs out loud. She's being cheeky and it's not like her at all, but she doesn't care. It is 6 p.m. and she waits patiently in the entertainment room with a glass of wine in her hand. She is nervous. She takes another sip and swallows it slowly. Slow down on the wine. I will not have you drunk tonight, he barks harshly at her. She puts her glass down and hears voices coming from the foyer. And she stands up, fixes her dress, and checks that her hair is in place and puts on a big and welcoming smile. Malcolm watches her and can't help but grin. He is starting to enjoy her and her quirkiness. She is different to the other two. I think it means that than the other two. It says that's what it says to the other two. They were cold to the touch and could never quite get used to him. He reminds himself that she doesn't know what he is, and when she does, that will all change. His mother walks in first, followed by his brother and his wife, then his father. They all look just like him. Dark hair, slender figures, good looking, and have this perfect bone structure. Okay, no skipping pages here. Red. Good, crisp pages, even though I don't flip through them. There we go. Except for the brother's wife, she is blonde with dark blue eyes and luscious pink lips. They also have the same intense green eyes, except for Wow, his father. Wow, his father. His eyes are more gray-green in color, and they don't suit him at all. She feels completely out of depth around them and isn't sure how to react or what to say. She feels Malcolm place his arm around her and guide her towards them, and she starts to tremble. Bonnie, this is Lisa, my dear mother. They shake hands, and Bonnie can see her inspecting her face, her stomach, but the dress isn't very revealing. Wall gives her a soft kiss on her cheek and has a much warmer aurora around him, while Harlow, his brother, greets her from where he is, standing, and carries on talking to his wife. She looks very much like Bonnie. She is petite and pretty, very pretty. She leans over towards Malcolm and quickly whispers into his ear, I see you and your brothers both seem to like the same type of women. She gives him an awkward yet cheeky smile, and he leans back in towards her and laughs. Indeed, after all, that is my second wife, he replies and kisses her on the cheek. Holy shit. So his brother is married to his second wife. That is, excuse me guys, that is pretty, but anyway. That's pretty jacked up, man. She feels that cold air rush over her body again and goes to sit down at the table and places her fidgety hands onto her lap. The atmosphere is weird. They talk about business and no one even really acknowledges Bonnie at all. They neither ask her any questions nor include her into the conversation. And she notices how Hollow's wife is ignored too. It suddenly hits her, and she knocks over her glass of water by accident. She quickly mops it up and turns her head away from Malcolm and his scolding look. She excuses herself briefly and goes outside for some fresh air. Well, she can hear him walk up behind her this time, but he doesn't touch her. He just stands there. Come back inside now, he orders her, and she reluctantly follows him back to the table. The rest of the night is a bit of a blur. She ended up drinking too much wine and really wasn't interested in anything her in-laws had to say. I wonder what caught her and got her all discombobulated. I think I got an idea. Eventually they leave and head back to their hotel, and Malcolm comes to fetch her. She is still sitting at the table with her head placed on her arms, leaning on her placement, and she is mumbling to herself. Malcolm picks her up gently and carries her to bed, and just as he sets her down onto the bed, she reaches out her hand and grabs him by the arm. There's no hand there, y'all. Trust me, I'm reading right here. Reaches out her, it's supposed to be an arm there, her hand, and grabs him by the arm. What are you people? You are not like us. We are different to you. Why do you even want us? What do you want from me? He takes her hand off of his arm and tells her to go to sleep. We can talk about it tomorrow. He promises and proceeds to take off her shoes and cover her with a blanket. Ooh, we're getting into the water now. We're getting a little waist deep now. Excuse me. Man. Oh, that shit is so minty. Anyway, chapter 5, we're going to start here. She wakes up and her mouth is dry, so she gets up to drink some water, and Malcolm is still sleeping, and she walks over to the golden clock to see what time it is. It is 4 a.m. and it is raining outside. She finishes a glass of water. It is cold and refreshing, and climbs back into bed. Malcolm has his back turned towards her, like he always does, and she notices a faint scar that runs down his back, near his spine. She gently traces it with her fingers, not wanting to wake him, and she goes back to sleep. When she wakes up again, she is gone, and she is all alone in the bed. She drinks the glass of water that he left for her on the bedside table, but it tastes bitter. She spits it back into the glass and gets dressed for breakfast. All the in-laws are there already. seated in the dining room and are still talking about the World's Fair that will open within the next 6 months. She remembers Miss Wentworth talking about that too, at the store a while back. Good morning, everyone. She politely sits down and she can feel their gaze on her. She smiles and sips her coffee and then puts some fruit in her bowl. Malcolm is expressionless, and Harlow's wife just stares at the wall in front of her. Weird family, she thinks. Where's this World's Fair? She asks and tries to involve herself in their conversation. Chicago. Chicago. No, Chicago. Malcolm snaps at her. Chicago, Malcolm snaps at her and catches himself. He is mad and she thinks she must have said something he would have deemed inappropriate last night at dinner. She pretends she didn't notice and eats her fruit, piece by piece, with the biggest smile on her face. She is happy and she doesn't know why, but she won't let any of them ruin her day. The conversation about the World's Fair continues and she just listens quietly to what they have to say. People from all over the world are coming. I spoke to Cousin Jeff, and he will be there with his wife. It is quite the talk of the town. Hollow says as he finishes his coffee and gets interrupted by Wall. I'm not sure it is a good idea that we put so much on display. We don't want them to start to ask questions. He pauses and looks out of the window. There are enough anomalies as is. Lisa clenches her jaw exactly the way Malcolm clenches his and places her hand onto his. Bonnie pretends like she isn't listening and remembers that she still wants to go and see Henry later today, the young man who spilled the beans. I heard the name Old Brooks the other day while I was in town. Is that the name of a dress store? She sips her coffee and acts ignorant. It is an engineering firm, dear. Harlow looks at her and grins. Let the men handle the business-related things and you can stick to shopping. He laughs and looks over at Malcolm, who shares his laughter. Wall stays quite quiet at the other end of the table and she makes eye contact with him. He knows she is acting and she starts to fidget with her spoon. If you are interested in such things, head on down to 3rd Street. You can't miss it, he replies and watches her reaction. 3rd Street. Was he the individual that was standing out there when she noticed somebody was there and gone? Well, let's see. She pretends that she must have made a mistake and really thought it was a dress shop and doesn't ask any more questions. She doesn't understand why he just told her where to go. And in that moment, she thinks about the man in the top hat. Bonnie feels a soft touch in her hand and turns to see it is Harlow's wife wanting her attention. Her actions completely interrupt her thoughts, and she stops fidgeting with the spoon and puts it down. I was hoping you would show me your new wardrobe that you bought. I'm sure you have some wonderful things now, if you don't mind. Bonnie is surprised by her request and happily agrees to show her anything she would like to see. They walk upstairs and she opens the door to her mud-colored walnut wardrobe. It is big and has large silver handles, and Harlow's wife suddenly grabs her by the arm and pushes her into the cupboard shelves. Ouch! Slow down! You are hurting me, Bonnie cries out. Do you realize I don't even know your name? No one has introduced us yet. My name is Valeria. Now listen carefully. Stop asking all these questions. Or do you want to disappear like Annabeth? She looks at the door to make sure no one is there. With her grip still tight on Bonnie's arms. Annabeth? Bonnie coughs out. Her statement has caught her off guard and she needs to catch herself. Malcolm's first wife. She watches her facial expression carefully and then continues. Do you know that she just disappeared one day? Never to be heard from again? Malcolm loved her. It was very hard on him, apparently, as in that is the official story. Bonnie doesn't know what to say and she wants to get away from Valeria. Please let go of me, she orders firmly and smacks her hand away from her. Why are you even telling me this? Are you insinuating that Malcolm murders the wives that has too many questions? Because if you are, I will take my chances. Thank you. She replies sarcastically and brushes the hair from her face. She closes the cupboard door and goes to find Henry at Old Brooks. She can't stand being around these people, his family. She has no idea where she is going. She just walks briskly down the street and looks for someone with a friendly smile to stop along the way and to ask directions from. People are in a good mood and are only too happy to help her. She has been walking around for over an hour and finally finds the building, hidden at the end of a small one-way street. She opens the door and hears a little bell ring. "Can I help you, miss?" A man appears from the back holding a hammer, and his hair is covered in fine dust and white plaster or concrete. She isn't quite sure. She puts her hands behind her and slips off her wedding ring. She remembers that Henry identified her by that ring, and she doesn't want anyone to know that she was there. Excuse me. "Hello, I am looking for Henry. I don't know his last name, unfortunately," she says with a friendly smile and blushes slightly. "I am sorry, miss, but he isn't here. He is out on the job." I see, she says. She pulls a disappointed face and thanks him for his time. "Out on the job? Where?" she inquires. "The old mansion not far from the creek, where they were yesterday, surely." She slips her ring back on and rushes off that way, getting lost twice, but she eventually finds her way. She can see him. He is with two other men, and they are busy taking measurements at the back of the building. He looks up and sees her. She waves and starts walking towards him. "Hello, Henry. I need to have a word, if you don't mind." "Of course." Henry plays along and walks away with her. "What are you doing here?" His face is concerned. "People should not see us together. You understand why, don't you?" She's rambunctious and she wants to get to the bottom of this. She shrugs her shoulders. "No, not really. Honestly, I don't care." She pauses. "I have more questions than you said I must look for you at Old Brooks. I went there and you weren't there." He laughs and rubs his hands in his hair. "Rich woman and wanting their way," he teases. "I wasn't always rich, you know. I was a fondling. Grew up all the way in Ireland, in one of those not so great fondling homes." You know what fondling means, right? Orphanages. Okay. She crinkles her nose and her momentarily turns and her eyes momentarily turn sad, He can see that she misses someone or something by the expression on her face. "You never got to know your parents," he replies. She shakes her head and her cheeks start to fill with color. She suddenly drops down to the floor and scurries over to hide behind a wall. "What is Malcolm doing here? Did you tell him I was coming here?" She scoffs angrily at him. Henry laughs again. "No, he owns Old Brooks. He owns most of the city, actually." "Of course he does." She rolls her eyes. "He can't see me. Look, I have more questions. When can I see you again? If you know what is good for you." "Never. I need to go, and you must go home now." He orders and hurries back to the other men and Malcolm. Bonnie quietly sneaks back home and hopes Malcolm did not see her. It doesn't say nowhere where he pops up, y'all. She joins Lisa and Valerie for tea in the Rose Garden and tells them about how busy the city was today. She makes up some story about all the irritating peasant-like people and how hard it was not to be disturbed by them. Well, it is month end, darling. People have just been paid. And Lisa is sarcastic and takes advantage of her ignorance and naivety. She continues to waffle on about something, but Bonnie ignores her. Her gaze wanders to the flowers in the garden, and she thinks about the fondling home, how different it was growing up there, and that she could never have imagined that she would be living in a place like this. She makes direct eye contact with Valeria and decides to press her a little bit. "So which fondling home did you grow up in?" Both Valeria and Lisa are surprised by her question, and Valeria looks at Lisa for approval. Before she answers the question, Lisa gives her a nod of approval, and she turns towards Bonnie. "The one in London," she replies courtly, and sips on her tea. Bonnie isn't ready to stop pressing her and reaches for a blueberry muffin and takes a small bite from it. How many of these fondling places are there? I mean, I thought mine was the only one. She chews the piece of muffin in her mouth and smiles like a silly little girl who can't understand the basic instructions. Lisa decides to take over and answers the question for her. There are many unwanted children, Bonnie. Be grateful you were taken in and given such a wonderful life. Her eyes are full of poison, and Bonnie wants to slap that cup of tea out of her hand. Bonnie admits defeat and finishes a muffin in silence. She excuses herself and goes upstairs, lies on her bed, and vents her frustration into a pillow. I really want to talk to Henry. There is a knock on the door, and she looks up at who it is. It is Jane, and she asks if she can enter the room. Yes, of course, Jane. Do come in. She sits down next to her on the bed with a motherly expression on her face. You have a curious mind, dear, but that is a dangerous thing these days. You understand what I am saying? You mean I will disappear suddenly? She snaps and regrets being so childish. She brushes her hair back gently and pauses. Let's us just be more careful, shall we? And stay away from Henry. He is a charmer and will only get you into trouble. You know Henry? She is surprised and suddenly happy and upbeat. He's my nephew. Now listen to me. Stay away from him. A little bit more, and then we're going to go to the other book. I can read this whole damn book for you guys right now. That's awesome. If Malcolm finds out, let us just say you don't want to test his patience more than you already have, okay? Okay. She agrees and lies back down on the bed and thinks about all the children who have no parents and places her hand on her belly, wondering if she will one day have a child of her own. Her face cringes at the thought of having Malcolm's baby. He has been kinder to her, lately, but she still doesn't like him. It didn't have a period, y'all. He is a terrible husband, and she can't see him being a better father. I'm going to read these next two paragraphs, and then we're going to shut it down right there. She thinks about whether she would want a boy or a girl. You should know that, Red. And what name she would choose. Malcolm walks into the room a while later and sees that she is fast asleep on the bed. And for a tiny moment, he watches her with a smile on her face. He watches her smile. He watches her with a smile on her face. I figured she was asleep. He thinks about Annabeth and the fact that they were happy for a little while. Then he told her the truth. He thought he was doing the right thing and told her about the heaven bearers and who he really is. He explained what really happened 17 years ago and why he married her. She sat on the chair in his study and listened to every word he had to say and was visibly shaken. He understood it was a lot to take in, but he never expected that she would run off the very next day while he was at work, and that he would never see her again. He wonders if she is alive and where she went. What he would say if he ever saw her again. Would he want to see her again? He shakes his head and reminds himself that he is Bonnie now. He looks at her again, and the smile disappears from his face.
Potential spam.
And he leaves the room. All the way up. People keep calling him. Anyway, again, he looks at her again, and the smile disappears from his face. It was his face that was smiling, as I thought. And he leaves the room. I'm gonna stop it there. We'll pick up the other part tomorrow because it's getting real meat. Because we're gonna end up about 4 or 6 months later down the road, and this is gonna be one heck of an adventure. So remember, Saturday I'm gonna read this, the Arawak. Pretty interesting, to say the least. All right. Yes. Exposing the Expositions, 1851-1915, revised 2021. Now, you hear about the heaven bearers. You remember in Nos Confoundum, and the man who crossed the ice walls, Terra Infinita, and Land of Mars. You've heard about the custodians and the Anunnaki, right? So hold on to those and remember those. Let's get into this. Basic history claims that what became the modern Great Fairs evolved from a local
from local English and French fairs of the 1700s, which were a sort of combined business exhibit and public entertainment for the local area. Bancroft's look at French fairs are very telling, for after mentioning the fairs at Lyons and St. Denis, in parentheses, granted to the monks by Dagobert, in the parentheses, he then mentions two locations, Champagne and Troyes. These are the two French sites that are most connected with the stories of the Holy Grail and with the Knights Templar. Now you need to know that the monks, Christians, all this stuff is really, really new. They don't come from no 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 1800s, y'all. Well, 1800s is when it all came to be. In parentheses, whose charter came at Troyes? In the parentheses, this is an interesting thing to consider. The early French fairs are linked with the two most mysterious concepts of the last 1,000 years. While the first large fair happened at the end of the 1700s in Prague, it was an exhibition the next year, 1798, in Paris, that was special. Current history still claims that the first world-sanctioned fair happened in England in 1851, which was not true. As mentioned, but this is untrue. The first one worthy of the name, though lasting but for 3 days with only 110 exhibitors, was at the Temple of Industry, erected by Napoleon in 1798, in the Champs de Mars. And Napoleon didn't erect it. Look it up. You know you're gonna get some tea from me reading. Napoleon was at the forefront of these early fairs. He was off capturing Egypt at the time and kept them going once he became emperor. He wasn't there to capture Egypt, he was there to destroy, to see the implications of it. That they came just 10 years after the start of the French Revolution may reveal a hidden reasoning for these original fairs. The time after the Revolution had giant festivals such as the Festival of Law, 1792, this is the Anachronation period, or the Festival of the Supreme Being, 1794, and there was a need to revise the history of France to suit its purposes. Now you need to know, what he's not going to say too much of is, everything was being dictated by something, someone, or some beings other than us here. I showed you the picture of the London Crystal Palace yesterday, based upon 1851, right? And they were all over it. The great exhibition of the works of industry of all nations are thankfully shortened to the Great Exhibition, was held in Hyde Park, London, May 1st to October 15, 1851. Joseph Paxton, a gardener and greenhouse builder, won the contract to build the main building for the fair and was assisted by railroad builders. What they came up with was a massive glass and iron building that earned the nickname of the Crystal Palace. It was 1,851 feet long, to correspond in parentheses with the year of the fair, in the parentheses, 450 feet wide, required 900,000 square feet of glass and 3,300 iron. Peep this now, listen. Columns. He modeled it on the leaf of the African water lily. It is it is claimed to have been completed in 9 months. Now he's using the word African, and we know that didn't exist. Parliamentary, it didn't. It was still Ethiopia. Ethiopia. Completed in 9 months. But look, it is claimed to have been completed in 9 months. I know people who've had houses built with 12 to 15 people working on it, with just wood, sheetrock, stucco, some very small masonry, in a 1.5 to 2 year period. Anyway, from the ground up. It was enormous and contained over 13,000 exhibits for the fair. But there was far more. It had Egyptian temples, Babylonian temples, thousands of Roman and Greek statues, concert halls, and the giant trees to make you feel as if you were outdoors. What I found very interesting was a speech given by Prince Albert in 1851 at a banquet hosted by the mayor of London. Nobody who has paid any attention to the particular features of our present era will doubt for a moment that we are living at a period of most wonderful transition, which tends rapidly to accomplish that great end to which all history points, the realization of the unity of mankind, not a unity which breaks down the limits and levels the peculiar characteristics of the different nations of the earth, but rather unity, the results and products of these very national varieties and antagonistic qualities. The two parts that strike me most of this excerpt is first, the mention that progress comes from national and antagonistic qualities. Hence, warfare and conquest, exactly, in parentheses, exactly what the British and other European nations were doing at the time. War, in the parentheses. The second is the mention of the time being a period of transition. I think this is a veiled statement to what was really going on at the time. A transition really was happening worldwide between 18 and 1900, and seems almost as if 1850 was some sort of marker. So much of any invention now a part of our world somehow has its origin to some finding, inventing, understanding after 1850. It is amazing once you begin to look for it. The fact that the first fair took place in 1851 is indeed telling for me. And that they want us to believe that Nikola Tesla and Albert Einstein invented AC and DC electricity, when that is pure lies. Nikola Tesla wanted nothing to do with it, and Albert Einstein, for the two gentlemen, because I worked at the building over in East Orange, New Jersey, on the first floor in ACO welding, and the second floor with an Irish guy building furniture. That's where I learned first carpentry. And the two who were young men who were well in their 90s at the time, or 100, whatever, said that Einstein didn't really build nothing. They were too busy taking what was already here, destroying it, and patenting, and making it as if it was theirs. And I remember asking Mr. Orp, I said, hey, were they here before? He says, no, there were no pale skins around here. Not in these parts. He said, now, back down south, we had some tribes, and we had some people that were like very pale, and we had some of the albinons, and that's how they talk. They took care of the movie booth, the projector booth, when they were children. The second is the mention of the time being a period of transition. We went there in 1850 was some sort of marker. So much of any invention now part of our world somehow has its origins to some finding, inventing, understanding after 1850. It's incredibly unbelievable. It is amazing once you begin to look for it. The fact that the first fair took place in 1851 is indeed telling for me. Back to the Crystal Palace. An amazing 6 million people, around 1/3 of Britain's entire population at the time. Listen, 6 million people, y'all, visited the exhibition. Its almost £200,000 profit was used to open the Victorian and Albert Museum, Science Museum, and Natural History Museum, each, of course, which are housed in gigantic Gothic-looking palaces in an area that became known as Albertopolis, where they had already planned to do certain things that we're dealing with right now. The Crystal Palace was later moved in 1854 to Sydenham Hill in South London. The building was destroyed by fire on 30th November 1936. That will be a recurring theme. Great buildings built in record time for exhibition, often burned in a fire afterwards. Now, what I heard about the palace over there, I heard that it was destroyed. And that one over in England, because our people were warring. Even here, we were at war. So if that's the case, they can say that they took it and moved it they transferred it to England? Impossible. You remember the iron girders? 330,000 feet? Use your heads, people. Okay. So anyway, destroyed by fire on the 30th, November 1936. That would be a recurring theme. Great buildings buildings built in record time for exhibition, often burned in a fire afterwards. So successful was the Great Exhibition that England had another one starting May 1st, 1862, but no need to use the Crystal Palace again. Might as well build another giant new building at the Horticultural Society. This one, which covered 23 acres and consisted of two immense domes, each larger than St. Peter's. Between the domes was a central avenue to see all the 28,600 exhibits and galleries. They couldn't build that now if they wanted to. New York, 1853. While not classified as a World's Fair, the exhibition of the industry of all nations, known as the New York Crystal Palace exhibition, basically was one. It was held at Bryant Park in 1853 to 54 in an iron and glass structure similar to the one in England. A 100-foot diameter dome topped it. It seems odd that the first two World Fairs both had similar buildings named the Crystal Palace. Of course, the building also burned down on October 5th, 1858. Unlike London, the Crystal Palace Fair of New York lost a lot of money when it burned down. A newspaper reported. So bursts a bubble rather noteworthy in the annals of New York, to be accurate. The bubble burst some years ago, and this catastrophe merely annihilates the apparatus that generated it. Another Crystal Palace was built in Munich in 1854. It's funny they building these big motherfuckers within a three-year period. For his, you gotta remember, everybody's fighting. Y'all just don't know this. You need to go and look at all the wars and fights. We have been fighting wars non-stop since the trade-off with the first segregation of Europe, the Negroes being pushed into so-called Africa, fighting on the line of Ethiopia, and our people fighting wars and not occupying our great cities, and in a fake history being that, oh, people were living sallow and running around with loose clothes. How about running around with clothes because we wore armor to fight a foreign enemy that we had long buried? Anyway, when you check this out, it lasted until 1931. All right, called the Glass. All right, Munich in 1954. Its exposition. It was called the Glass Palace. Glass Palace. It lasted until 1931, when, you guessed it, a fire destroyed it. Then there was the Crystal Palace in Montreal, built for its 1860 exhibition. It later included an ice rink inside during winter, housing one of the world's first hockey teams. Brothers. It burnt down in 1880. We created that. Invented. We've been playing it for a long time. Toronto had a Crystal Palace as well. A giant building built in 1878 for its annual Canadian Industrial Exhibition. It too would be destroyed by fire in 1906. 5 Crystal Palace buildings, all destroyed in somewhat odd circumstances. I am sure there are more if one just digs into the worldwide Crystal Palace phenomenon. Yeah, Australia, it had one. Hawaii had one. Cuba had one. The people who put on these fairs really believed they were involved in some great upbringing of humanity, from primitive savages to good Victorian industrial Christians. Take this from Frank Morton Todd, writing just after the San Francisco Fair of 1950. Remember when San Francisco burned down, y'all? Turpentine bombs. Expositions are not fairs, and the merchandising element in them is merely a part of their financial support. They are what the name connotes: displays, demonstrations, vast exemplifications of the works of man, self-conscious, not human, but man, self-conscious and intelligently directed. They are very modern. If those diligent merchants and manufacturers, the classic Greeks, had held them, we should have had to exclaim, what a marvelous people to devise such an agency of progress. Read the chapter on a single-handed clock and boiling eggs, and you will understand how an exposition serves and speeds up human development. It is better to have the planned effects of one exposition than the accidental benefits of 40 wars. This message of the exposition, actually a part of human progress, not a reflection of it, was common in these book overviews. They really believed that the fairs of the day were evolving the world fairs prior to World War I, are called industrial fairs, as they had a focus on technology and industry. Yet underlying all was the idea of the advancement of the Western world over primitive societies. For these early fairs, the anthropology exhibits, basically natives, shown off with their huts or teepees in a sort of zoo, were as much a feature of the fairs as the manufacturing exhibits of carnival attractions. The first fair to take this to the extreme was the Philadelphia Exhibition of 1876. Now, you know I'm reading. I just have to. Very important to read this. Philadelphia, 1876. And you know, the zoo fairs were to, and those were actors, to implement a new direction, a new history. Or remember George Orwell? In different ways, all of those fairs supported the proposition that the advance of the American industrial complex, as directed by an Anglo-Saxon elite, was synonymous with national progress. Robert Rydell. The first true World Fair in the United States was the Philadelphia Exhibition of 1876 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of U.S. independence. At least that is how it's like to be known. But its official title at the time was the International Exhibition of Arts, Manufacturers and Products of the Soil and Mine. I am not fully sure how art and manufacture go together with soil and mine. Both of which could never make the title of any future exhibition, end of parentheses, and independence. Again, the Study Love site has links to several books of this fair. I recommend Centennial Portfolio, a souvenir of the International Exhibition by Thompson Westcott. I'm gonna have to note that and get that book. Thompson Westcott, 1876, which provides original drawings of all the buildings. Just for that, it is a spectacular document. I'm gonna say it again. Get a pen and paper. The Centennial Portfolio. He recommends the Centennial Portfolio, a souvenir of the International Exhibition. A souvenir of the International Exhibition by Thompson Westcott. Make a note of that. I'm ordering that, y'all. I'm gonna pay for it. Don't worry. You ain't got to give me no $2, $3, $4, $5. I know you mugs greedy and you're acting like you're tight or whatever. I'm gonna have to stop sending money to a good friend of mine from school, because every month she seems to think I'm supposed to be sending her some money. I'm not your sugar daddy. I'm damn not sure that you're man. I don't mind helping, but you just had a big Thanksgiving dinner, so stop asking me for what you're asking me for. Not just being hateful, y'all, because I give. I give all the time and every time. I just can't give a person like, no. So, I've been doing this all day, y'all. My apologies. A souvenir of the International Exhibition by Thompson Westcott. Let's see if we can pull it up and see what it looks like. I'm really interested in that. See, real people, real warriors, it's the ethos. Those who are tired of fighting and stuff, I'm going to show y'all something. I don't want you to see it that well, but this is one of the sweatshirts that I'm going to make, and it's a little different from that. It's a lot bigger, 3D, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I just want to show you that. Now, let me pull this book up. Oh, let's go back. Amazon. All right, let's see. Let me make sure. let's see if this by what we say his name was Thompson Weston, right? Yeah. That's WH, right? No, A. Oh. Westcott. Excuse me. My apologies. Westcott. Holy shit. And it looks different from anything I've seen. Okay. This is what the books look. It looks like a Centennial Portfolio, a souvenir of the International Exhibition of Philadelphia, comprising lithographic views of 50 of its principles. And this is the book. It is, how much does it cost? $27.95, man. Anyway, if y'all want to donate $5 or $6, then I appreciate it. And I'll go ahead and purchase that. And I'll add it to the Mud Flood, the other two Mud Floods, the Tartarian books I have, three or four of them, and I will definitely read it and then mitigate where it fits in. As far as it could probably fit in between this narratives. So I said I was gonna buy my own. Oh, I'm not. But why would I want to buy the Art of War again? They show me the books. I've already put. Stop it. So $27.95. All right. So there we go. I think that is a pretty excellent find right there. So we're gonna stop there because after that we get into after the U.S. Civil War, and we know as far as Admiral what's his name and the men who escaped, who made it past, and the story based on those confound them. Now you see how everything is circling. You see how all the pieces of the puzzle are starting to acclimate and fit together. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? Let me date this. I really love reading for you guys. Excuse me, because I'm sure, man, the punks, these people, man, maybe I should be ghostwriting and have somebody read my ideas, send me, and me typing the shit, because I can still crack out about 65 a minute. So, words. So, yeah, we're going to pick that up tomorrow. This is really getting good. And what time is it? It is 5:47. I hope 8 o'clock is not too late for me to do open mic to talk about the topic today. Or we can wait and put it off. It's up to you guys. You know what I mean? I appreciate everybody that came in. Turn this off. Yeah. So hit the Cashapp and send a couple of, I'm not begging. Send a couple of dollars. I'm spending. I think I'm gonna spend quite a bit on some books. And there's some books that I purchased I haven't even mentioned. So when they show up, I will share those books with you, and I think you'll find those pretty interesting. Okay? And there's gonna come a time when I'm not saying all this. It's just gonna be me reading, talking about certain things. My passions, I have to get a lock on. What are you doing? I have to get a lock on my passions because I feel everything that's going on. I feel the pushes and the tugs. And when I say I feel them, I mean literally. It's I don't want to make myself sound weak, but it's annoying. It's aggravating. It's uncomfortable. No cortisol raising. It's not messing with I know how to jump in that cold damn water. And I'm talking about ice cold, guys, and shock all that shit out of me real quick. So it's not that. It's the pain of my beloved people. And yes, somebody, don't be stupid, people. Just because I tell you names of my family members, yes, his name is Henry Lucifer Schaust. And Lucifer is not a bad name. It's been made bad like everything else. When Lucifer is the opposite of what you have been garnered, because if you knew otherwise, like I used to watch all them rabbis, chicken sacrifices, waving chickens around their heads and dancing pigs and excuse me, not to knock. I'm only speaking on facts. I was in Palestine. The mugs made some of the best ham sandwiches back then. I'm just saying. always have been twisted and redelivered in a magnitude disproportionate, so against us and everybody else, because what happens to us is going to affect everybody else. They don't have to believe it, but you entrust me, they believe they prepped something, these scientists, that without us they can mitigate and they'll be just fine. We go back to the source. I'm telling you, whatever's going to happen is going to be, that's all I got to say to that. So I'm comforted. Yet, to lie to you and make you believe that in that comfort I don't feel some kind of way about things, then I would be lying to you, and I can't do that. But we will just be reading. I'm not going to sit there and agitate and aggravate you with things I speak about, because I know that everybody has gotten himself into a better position, and I definitely am aware that I don't want to harm those of you who have not reached the pinnacle of removing yourself from solid feelings, or gaining solid feelings, and removing yourself from the intrusive, obstructive feelings. And for that, I apologize. But it's hard. It's still a learning curve for me. A few things are, okay? And I hope you all enjoyed the ring. I'm going to give shout outs because I got to do that. We've been here for about an hour and 30 minutes. A little quicker than what I thought. I thought it'd be 2 hours. I really wanted to read a lot more. But I need you to be on the edge of your seat. And I need you to want to know what's going to happen next. Because, and trust in me, though I read a lot, doesn't mean I remember everything I read. No, it's there. And so as I'm reading, I'm like, oh, I know what's going to happen next. It's a beautiful thing. And it helps the mind. And cold water on my head. So, you know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful thing, and I love sharing this stuff with you guys. All right, don't ask me about my great grandpa again. Every man in my family has taken a life. Every man, except for my brother. He attempted to take his own life like a fucking idiot. But every man in my family are life takers, but we life givers. Okay, so don't get it twisted. All right. Shout outs, and then we'll move forward. Westside, appreciate you hanging in there, beloved. Rondo, Chatahaya, Grey Wolf, Nichelle. Where's Mama Ray? Reploid, where you at? We know that Tolo, remember? Give a little energy and Tolo Cherokee's way, okay? That's all I ask you, nothing else. Where's OG Green Machine? Where's I know some people want to be on other platforms and they want to just hear all the blah, you know, and it's all right. They'll have to move beyond that on themselves. Hey, Mama, you missed all that reading. Well, you ain't missed it because you can watch it again. I'm going to be doing an open mic here at 8 o'clock. Well, I say open mic. I hate that podcast bullshit. Because everybody has a voice. And I will have Rondo hopefully come on. Westside, go look at the video right quick. It should be uploaded. And I will express again what I'm doing. Some of those shit that I shared in last one, where nobody wanted to come in except for Rondo. And hear what you have to say. All right? Love you all like, you know what I'm saying? And until later. Ladies, gents, I appreciate you all. All late. Look at y'all. Hey, y'all. Look, Mama Red. Mama Red. Well, you better start living up to that name. Have your butt here on time, Mama Red. Love you all. And we will chat here in a little bit. Grey Wolf, make sure you're there, bruh. Westside, Mama Red. Miss Nichelle Marquise, please. All right. Appreciate Chatahaya in the house, and anyone else sitting up there, please. What you laughing at? She's like, I just got in. I just slipped on some ice, and the fog was in my face. And there's mountain lions and baboons and shit fighting raccoons in the backyard. You just don't know. I just got in. No, I'm just kidding. My cheering is hitting me in my head with my slippers, and it's like I think I'm walking into Dubai with a whole bunch of Arabs, just Salam alaikum and the Islamas. Oh, you did? Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Then you keep that between. Don't share what you said. That's between you and her. And I know. it's very sad. And we just send energy to uplift one another, regardless. We don't want to seek regardless, but we share energy. Okay? And I shared energy when Tola, she was sick. And she said, man, next day she was like, and I was like, no, the word energy is very small and what it actually means. But we got this little language to frolic with. So a lot of you aren't linguists and you're not attempting, and if you are, beautiful. Learn other languages, change your dialect or whatever. And I fumble with chopping up some languages, words. I'm not studying, so phonetically, I don't have the, rolling pentel pen, I don't have, all my R's don't fall the same, and all my V's and Z's and D's and F's don't capitulate to the correct enunciation, so and we'll chop it up a little more, I guess. So anyway, hey, Jocelyn Northern, I hope that I'm not, yeah, brother, I'm signing off, but 8 o'clock, I'm gonna open mic. I'm gonna put goat guns. I don't want none of that crap. I'm gonna go ahead. It's a notification. Excuse me. I'm gonna go ahead and inform everybody when I come on what it was about. If you want to go and look at the video that's up there that me and Rondo were speaking on a little bit, and it's a screenwrite I want to do, and I really wanted other people's input. Though I've written around 4 or 5 letters of notes, I'll show you one right now, and the other ones I'm not gonna show you. Just it's like what I did in college. Every time I went to college, I'm a note guy, so, and I really need other people's input. You dig? Awesome. 8 o'clock. Well, I'm signing off, everybody. Love y'all, respect, and share it. And anybody in the house hasn't subscribed, give a thumbs up and share it. I appreciate it. I know I got a sly smile and laugh about me. That still comes from the hood, because usually if I was in front of you and I know you and I was looking like this, or I was looking like this, you was pretty much slid up under a car. So I attempt to actually bring some joy in this look, because I enjoy what I'm doing, to instead of looking like, everything is cool and then the 1 2, the 3 4, the 2 4. I'm not doing that. So see y'all there. I don't know if I might use Melon, but I'm going on to the laptop, set it up, and I'll see you guys there. All right. Y'all have a grand evening.